haven't really talked about what the colors are. So we have Shadow by Benjamin Moore. We have Violet Verdana by PPG. Now, some people ask, well, who's PPG? PPG is actually, it used to be Color Your World. It used to be, and it used to be Glidden, and they bought out all those companies. We have Greenery from Pantone. We have Post Taupe from Sherwin-Williams. And those are the 4 that we chose to, and we're going to highlight in the magazine. So we wanted to talk a lot about them and just see if, you know, we embrace them.
Usually, now we do recommend painting a lot to people, but we would always recommend a more neutral color. The Poise Taupe is good in that it's kind of like a greige. It's kind of one of those mix of the brown and the gray, which is nice because while I love the gray and gray is certainly still popular, a greige or more of a brown and taupe color works with a lot of people's woodwork and their flooring and in their cabinetry. So I would definitely embrace that as a recommendation for people. We have actually used the Shadow in a design job in a large entryway that was at one time a light pink. And it's a 2-story entryway. I wish we had a picture of it. I didn't have a picture of it to send you, but it's dramatic and it's wonderful. I like that it's in a big, light, open space. You have to be careful with that dark color. You know, it has to be the right room and the right lighting situation to not close things up. The other colors, I agree. We mostly use the greens or the pink or any kind of orange, any kind of trending vivid color as an accent, and using accent pieces and soft goods. We love the greenery. We love it with white. It pops really well, and we have a lot of accent pieces in green. We have a whole section.
You could go out and work with a color tomorrow. Let's say Santa Claus came and brought you all one color of whatever you want, budget of one of the colors, the 4 colors we have. Which one would you be embracing the most and going out and doing in your staging work tomorrow?
Probably the greenery.
All right.
I'm going to vote green.
Vote green. Okay, so vote green. All right, Bobby, how about you?
My area, we're very, very traditional. We have some transitional. So really, like the Poise Taupe would be the one that I would embrace the most. And that's because I could see utilizing that more with the wall color, potentially accent pieces in a room. I mean, I still have other pops of color. The greenery, I would love if I had a light soaked space. But here we have a lot of closed off spaces. The windows may not be as large. So to use that greenery inside, unless I have the perfect lighting, it just wouldn't go.
How about you, Margaret?
I would have to say that out of all these colors, I'd probably be in the greenery. We use green all the time. We've been using it for years now. Love it. We bring it in small doses. It's always an accent. The taupe, I'm having a little trouble with the taupe. It's a little darker than we would do in a staging world. So I'm bringing taupe in, this Poise Taupe. I've tried to use it twice. It was too dark for the client. We brought it in other elements in the house and smaller spaces and lighter tones of it. I have found though that I'm using it more on exteriors. So exterior colors, I think it looks great. So I would say the taupes, we live in the land of taupe over here. So I would use that, but in some other form of it. The smaller, more dramatic spaces might go into the deeper tones. Haven't really embraced the pink or the purple.
How about you, Claire?
Well, I think the greenery is always popular because it represents, fresh, new nature, bringing the outdoors in. So I think that's always something that people will embrace a little bit easier. I love the Poise Taupe. I think that's a gorgeous color. And again, because like what Cindy said, because of the kind of the gray, it's not quite gray, it's not quite beige. It's a bit easier for people to accept. My favorite, I'm a plum purple girl. So for me, the Shadow is number 1. And I did actually paint my own bedroom, that color. And we used this wallpaper here. It's got like the purple in it. So we used a similar color. It wasn't exactly this color, but I matched it. It's pretty close. So for me, it's just so rich. I love creating contrast. I love having like the dark, rich colors. And I think, again, when people embrace it, like when people come into my bedroom, which isn't very often, but when they do, they're just like, oh my gosh, look at this color, like, so again, I think people like the idea of color when they see it, but sometimes to do it themselves, I think is a little bit, they're a little bit more nervous. So, but I also think that the shadow is great. I would absolutely recommend it for powder rooms, to have that real dramatic feel for a small space. And I know Bobby mentioned a movie room. I did use a purple. It wasn't this one specifically. It was a little bit lighter, but it was, to set the mood. It was dramatic.
So if I was to say glam, what color would you guys immediately go to? Anybody can?
Shadow.
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 I think Charles is wearing a shadow colored shirt.
Yeah.
I was thinking that when he chose that color, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what about shabby chic?
Taupe.
Maybe. Or green, right? Because it's a lot of white, so green and the whites play nicely.
Okay. Modern?
I would do greenery for the
Greenery.
Boys taupe is where I go.
All right. How about traditional?
Boys taupe. Boys taupe.
You could do shadow though in traditional. You could do shadow easily in traditional.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have a lot of white moldings and things.
Color.
Eclectic?
Violet verbena.
The only one that's left, yeah. Violet.
Yeah, eclectic, a different color on each wall. I'd be there, sure.
I'd be there, a different color each wall. Okay, so name some other ones. My brain just is gone. Name a couple other styles.
I've seen shadow in a Victorian house in a living and dining room. Looked amazing.
I can see that. That would
Also,
be
you could do Violet verbena in a Victoria house.
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
You could see that down by the beach.
Okay, well, I really like the shadow. That's one of my favorites. I think it's a beautiful, rich purple. It reminds me of like a royal purple. I think it's great. It can be used in great accent pieces. You could do feature walls. You could do a whole space in it. That's my favorite.
Awesome. And so what bedroom or what room would you like to use that? Like if you got it, like I said, a dream client came in tomorrow and you could just pick and you could pick that room and you could pick the, Santa Claus came and he brought you everything you wanted. What room would you love to do?
I could see that in maybe a dining room almost with a beautiful white wainscoting, bright white trim. I could see that in a dining room.
Awesome. How about you, Corinne?
I'm a poised taupe. I like the poised taupe. I do agree with Claire, though, that the, what is it called, the shadow, I would think would look awesome in a powder room. I really do. But I don't know if everyone can use the darker colors. Specifically, your walls have to be perfect. They have to be really perfect with dark colors. So with that said, I'm with the taupe.
So my favorite color is green. So I would definitely, although you couldn't tell from the room behind me, but I would definitely probably use greenery, but I think it's one of the easiest colors besides the poised taupe out of all of them to use. The violet verbena kind of reminds me of Pantone's 2016 split of Serenity. It might just be a little bit darker, which I liked Rose Court better than Serenity to begin with last year. So violet verbena wouldn't be my first choice. It kind of reminds me of my childhood bedroom and like growing up in the 90s for some reason. But I definitely think it could be used really well on maybe like a bohemian type of a scheme. And I think it would really look good on a piece of furniture. Poised taupe, though, I think is going to look amazing. Like Joanna Gaines from Magnolia has just launched her entire line. It's all neutral colors. I think that would probably pair really well with all of her stuff. But if I had the perfect client and they wanted, you know, if they wanted me to do something, I would want to do shadow in a den.